I'm just recording this because I can't understand why, but I can't get to this state with the recorder running. But I wanted to provide evidence that this works. I mean, so I can have more than 4 of these things going at the same time. They're not, at this point, it's not using the back buffering thing. You have to turn that off at some point. But so it shouldn't anyway. It shouldn't be able to slow down any more than it is. Each time through drawing the background and drawing. Oh no. Yeah, drawing the background and then drawing the right. The background happens to be an image, as you might have guessed, or might have noticed. Oh, now it's dead. Okay. It couldn't get. It couldn't get to that state on its own. With the somehow the recorder. I think I have a pretty good hypothesis for what causes it, and it's something I'm not checking for too. And that is, I think basically the timer stops working because there's a long enough here, like here, it's probably stopped. And my guess is what's happened. It's not that the program is stopped working. Oh no, it got through. But if there's too much of a backlog of messages, then post message fails. And remember that was happening to me before. With the same program this started out from, or similar anyway. With the dots, I was trying, or the topic was marshalling, and the method of marshalling that I was using used Windows messaging, like post a message and then you wait for a response from the window, right? And I found that sometimes it failed, and the reason why is because post message failed because the message queue is full. But that timer that I'm using in here, my animation timer, works like this. You say start ticking, and then it just sets one signal for an event to occur after this amount of time. The thread itself never stops running, and in the thread proc, it just sits here. Sorry, it sits here. No, it sits here on wait message, okay, for any 2 messages, either the quit signal or a WM timer, right? Now, if the WM timer doesn't get into the message queue, then this signal is never going to get triggered by a timer. And the way that this ticker works, it's manual, so it gets the timer message. If it happens to be a timer message, this here, self-signaled, means signaled by the self of the one that called the wait function, and that's the timer. So if the reason was that the object signaled itself, then I go and set it again to wait another round, right? I have another one, auto timer, which automatically sets itself whenever the no, but wait a minute. That doesn't, the timer itself should get signaled. But maybe it can't post anymore. It can't post any more animation messages into the window proc if it gets full. But that shouldn't. It certainly runs itself. No, I don't understand what happens. I could see that that's probably part of the problem. There's a definite problem with this program to do with sprites. I'm not sure what it is. But anyway, I wasn't going to talk about that. I wanted to give sort of well, I'm not sure exactly, a kind of a heads up about what I want to do. Obviously, I got into this thing, and I started another channel, and I'm using this program for doing math stuff. And as far as programming stuff goes, this is a sideline. What I'd like to do next, something that I've been putting off for a long time, and I think is necessary, and it's something that everybody should go through at least once in life, and that is to write a decent file class, a class for handling files. Reading, writing, being careful about error handling, validation of paths, simplicity of interface. In the previous file class I had in my other project, I might use some of its features, was a thing that you could pass by value. So it had a reference counting feature to it, right? Now, a file, of course, if you open it, if my program opens a file and I'm maintaining a reference count as to how many times I've opened or closed, theoretically, not open, but added or removed a reference count to it, that's got nothing to do with the rest of the world, right? The outside world could be doing stuff with that file as well. So I'm not exactly sure if that's a good method to use in general. I don't know how you can. I think actually that you can add and remove open close references for a real file using this function called duplicate handle. Maybe I should look that up. F1. It always takes me to a random spot anyway. I think I pressed F1. I understand it. This was running so fast. There it came up. It's trying to find TS common. Come on. Are they so retarded? Like, it's somehow that they figured nobody would ever write their own classes, right? So F1, when you press F1, it's just naturally assumed that the whatever class you happen to be referring to is in the help system. Anyway, what was it I wanted to look for? Duplicate handle. See, underneath it all, base. Base. Underneath it all, when it comes to files and windows, fopen and all that stuff is just window dressing. Like there's the underneath, if you follow through F open, right? The source, just walk through it, you'll see that eventually it lands on not this function, but it lands on create file. If you run through underscore open, it also ends up on create file, because that's the only kind of access there is to file objects under Windows. Create file. Now the question, and that returns a handle, okay? An object handle, which is the most basic in the operating system lingo. A handle is an operating system object, right? It's something that NT kernel knows how to deal with, right? Not like a GDI handle or something like that. So those things have their own context to do with some subsystems like GDI, but these are referring to kernel handles, and that could be a synchronization object. It can be a thread. It can be a file. Name pipe, low-level stuff that is handled at the operating system's lowest level. So the question is, if I call duplicate handle on a file and it succeeds, do I have to close it twice to really close it? And if that's true, then I could use the reference counting mechanism on files, and it would work in such a way that it's working together with the rest of the operating system. Okay, here. Duplicate can, okay, so it does work. Create file, object, file. They've got this twice. I guess that's why they actually did something clever here. There's no ambiguity about which create file we're talking about. There's only one way. Alright, so it does work. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to have a look at my other class that I used before for files and try to base it, rearrange it so that it uses create file. Currently it uses something that uses create file, like fopen, but fopen doesn't give you the handle. You don't have the handle, right? All you have is a thing called a stream, and a stream is useful for all of the reasons why people use fopen, because it handles buffering and input and output and character translations and all those various things. So unfortunately, that would now become the job of this file class. But here's the advantage. If I can write a file class based on based on a handle, then all of that code applies to a socket, right? Or maybe not a thread. Threads, you don't write to your threads, but whatever there is in common with files and things like an internet file handle that has similar attributes as a file handle. You can write data. You can communicate to another computer, let's say, although it doesn't seem to list those internet handles in here. But there's also this thing called a name type, and a name type is very similar to it. Acts and behaves very much like a file, and that is good for communications on the LAN, like a local area network. And so this kind of handle can be used for internet access if you had one server computer that managed access to the internet and used name pipe communication to communicate with that server, and perhaps it would work. Console, it would work with console. Anyway, so that's a thing I'd like to do, and it's time to finally bite the bullet, and I've been avoiding it for too long. I need a good file class. I should be able to write down code like, I don't know. I don't want to decide with 100% certainty, but I have something like TS file, right? I already have it ready to go in the colorizing. A file, just a file, right? I wouldn't allow it to open a file. I would allow it to accept a file name in the constructor, but no opening of file, obviously. That's not something that should be done in a constructor. Now you might say file something like open and then give a path name, right? And then you could either check the return value of this or check to see if this is success or fail code. This returning a bool is not so bad. Your code would look like if not open return something, and now you've got a valid file. And then I would base the interface on the stream functions. So, for instance, fread, right? Just so that the help for fread will tell you the help for this function. So that would work the same way, except of course fread I think returns a pointer or something. This here would maintain an internal pointer, and you would always be able to check for end of file. Or while that's not true or something. Your code should look that simple. And if you want to pass your file to another function, like let's say you have a parsing thing or an any file thing, parse file, just pass it. You should be able to pass it by value to another function, and that will use the duplicate handle mechanism, so it's like a smart pointer type thing. There will be no close file required, right? Internally, this thing will call close file, close handle, right? For every time the destructor is called, close handle will get called, and every constructor will duplicate handle or create a new thing. That's my idea. So just telling you what I plan to do. I'm going to take some time thinking about how to do this properly, and hopefully by the end of it we'll have a pretty decent little file class. I know it's gonna work out well because my other class works quite well. But it does have that one defect that the reference counting is internal to my program. That's no good for files. Okay, just letting you know.